This is a little video about fast fashion. The fashion industry is one of the least sustainable industries because think about how a shirt is made. It's there's a lot of waste in terms of when you cut out the pattern because it's not a bunch of straight lines and boxes. So there's just a lot of waste that's generated. Producing fabrics uses a lot of energy. It uses water and electricity. So there's just a lot of environmental impact. When we dye things, often dyes are bad chemicals. And so when a company finishes dyeing fabric, it puts those chemicals out into a water stream. So it's just not a great industry. So we have seen because of that, that a lot of companies are trying to change and be more sustainable. But we have to look really closely at these messages to see if they are authentic and transparent. Zara is a company that has 10,000 stores around the world. They release 500 new designs a week and over 20,000 per year. So that's this idea of fast fashion. It used to be that companies could create, maybe give out 4 or 5 different lines in a year. Um, but but Zara has 500 new designs every week, and they can design a garment and have it in the store produced and shipped to the store within a week. So they're just constantly churning through merchandise. The average price of a garment is $48, which is pretty high for the fast fashion industry. One problem with fast fashion is it's so cheap because it's made overseas. Um, that people buy a lot of it. People might wear something 3 or 4 times and then it's either out of fashion or it falls apart, and then that garment gets thrown away. And that's not really a sustainable habit. But the fast fashion industry has created an industry where consumers can't break out of the cycle. And they've actually pushed out companies that would release fewer numbers of garments fewer times a year because they've changed consumer behavior. So the question is, how can that industry change so consumer behavior can change so we can all be more sustainable? Sarah came up with a variety of sustainability initiatives in the summer of 2019. They said they would develop and use responsibly and sustainably produced fabrics. They're going to transform its stores and facilities to be eco efficient. They're going to recycle packaging, use green alternatives for packaging materials, have an in store recycling donation program, and launch an eco conscious join life connection. So, on the surface, it all sounds really good. But they received a lot of pushback because some people thought it was too little too late. Some people thought they weren't doing enough. Some people looked very closely at the plan and saw a lot of issues. So the sustainability plan made no mention of improving the condition of Zara's many factory workers. And so community health is an important value for sustainability, which Zara was not addressing. One factory in Tunisia produces 1,200 pieces per day, 150 pieces per hour. So they weren't making any moves to change the underlying model of production. And there's a fundamental dissonance when a brand that profits off a business model that is actively harmful to the environment puts out a sustainability plan that doesn't include a massive overhaul of that model. So it's almost like you're fixing some of the symptoms but not the disease. And that's what people had a problem with. Another company with a green collection is H&M, which has the Conscious collection. They're made from Clothes are made from innovative plant-based fabrics such as Pinatex, which is pineapple leather, leather made from pineapple, um, and also orange peels. They have fabrics made from orange peels, and they talk about this conscious collection as exploring, quotes, the healing power of nature while also embracing innovation with sustainable materials and processes for a more sustainable fashion future. H&M has had the conscious collection for a long time, but the most recent one was really the first one where they tried to do a lot more with sustainable materials. And there was pushback on this campaign as well. And this pushback came from the Norwegian Consumer Authority, and they said that H&M provides insufficient information about the sustainable nature of its sustainable style collection, and it warned consumers that they're being misled by greenwashing statements featured in the company's marketing strategies. So, some examples of the information from the Norwegian Consumer Authority report are included here for you to take a look at. Right now, you might be saying, Kim, you're so negative. Aren't there any good companies out there? And yeah, there are. Um, you might, if you're interested in high fashion, you can look into Stella McCartney, who's a leader in sustainability in the fashion industry. And this is an interesting new company called Sheep Inc. It's based in New Zealand. And if you buy a sweater, which aren't cheap, I'll tell you, but if you buy a sweater, each sweater comes with the tag that has a code on it that you can scan with your phone. If you scan the tag, you'll see the manufacturing and carbon footprint journey of that sweater. Um, the company also will send you updates about a real life sheep that one of the farms that provided um, the wool came from. They source with farms across New Zealand. There is a story, which I don't think it's true, is that there are more sheep in New Zealand than there are people. So there are lots and lots of sheep farms, and they can oversee the conditions of the farms and the sheep's. The goal of the company is to remind consumers that clothing comes from somewhere and has an environmental impact. They're not saying they're doing everything well, but they're looking to raise consumer awareness of that fact that every decision we make has an impact on the environment, and even more so when it comes to our clothing. So that's just to me, that's a very interesting perspective, a way to go about it. The United Nations has a number of sustainability development goals, and Sheep Inc. took a next step in connecting itself to these UN goals and shows how its activities connect and fulfill these goals. They are trying to be the world's first carbon negative fashion brand, and they're pushing back against the fashion industry's reputation as the world's largest polluters, and they're setting a new standard of environmental accountability. And it'll be interesting to see whether companies like Sheep Inc. will expand.